mind. You know, when you're watching TV or something like that, you're so disconnected from it that once it's gone, you don't think about it anymore. But once you're actually there, um, it has much more of an impact in your life. So definitely want
Yeah.
to mention that.
Well, we are at this point speaking, as I said, DC is Congo. Keziah is in the Philippines, Augustine is Sierra Leone, and Kelly is the Ivory Coast. So we got Africa pretty much covered as far as starting with this group. Typically, we'll get, when I get really lucky, we get about 10 or 15. So at this point, I'd like us to, I'd like us to kind of start in here. And let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can. Oh, well, I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. So we're calling ourselves the peaceful mind, which is a way for us to just take the other side of our brain versus what the chaos is now in the world. And the way we start that is to do what I call a thank you. So I typically have us quietly, muted, say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you. This way we kind of ease into what it is that we can make possible. And the next thing I'd like us to think about is the strength. I'm going to be talking a lot today about preparing yourself to go out into the world to meet more people. And one of the first things is strength is the product of struggle. You must do what others don't to achieve what others won't. And that, I think, is pretty astute. If we think about it, it's the fact that you're doing something others won't. If they could have done it before, they would have. The other next one is you have to be at your strongest when you're feeling at your weakest. And at this point, I'd like to mention to you that we all, last time, you weren't here, but last time we talked to, where is that? We talked about your why and where you are going with your why. And some of you were able to express it. And in fact, you were all able to express it at some point. And where are we? Here we go. That's it. Augustine, we were talking about your strategy. Omar's not here. Kuwang's not here. Fatima's not here. Keziah, girls working to employ and solve personal hygiene areas. Christian was a better place, feeling good for the sake of God, empowering youth, training videos. And that's all that was here. But at this point, many of you were doing research and a strategy. And that is what I'm going to be talking about right now. Before you actually start in talking to people and beginning to get your influence out there and the influence of others coming into your world, you have to prepare yourself to be ready for that. So what I'd like for us to do, and I'll have you introduce yourself at a certain stage here, is to, before you begin, I want you to start out with some very good habits. Now, I don't know, I would imagine that Luke does, because that's kind of the way we are in the US, but my guess is that some of you already have a business card. And even though, Luke, you're not in any kind of business, you have to have something that people can take with you, with them when you're not there. So you need to have some sort of a business card that represents you, and Vistaprint online is a very inexpensive way to do that. You just need to have something. The next is your database, and I've mentioned this so many times before, and the database is an Excel sheet, and you all know how to do that. You don't have to do that on Google, but you can do that in their spreadsheets. And the person's name, their telephone number, if possible, their email, what their company is, what happened when you were with them, or what types of things that they are working on. So get at least those as tabs in the database. And then actually interfacing with people we're going to talk about in a bit. Now, I'm doing what I'm doing now with slides because maybe some of you, it's easier for you to read it than it is to listen to me. When you meet someone, it's really important to get their contact information. And then the next thing that you would do after you have met with them is to respond. That's typically with a letter or an email. And the most important right up front is for you to thank them for their time. This is a very humble role. From now on, we're into humility. Because you want to be the one that is compassionate, that is congenial, that is helping them in their world. And so you want to thank them for the time you've had together. And then what I always do is I find something to compliment them about. That they are wonderful. I noticed because of this, that, the other, you know, so-and-so, and because you're so creative, or some way to compliment them. And then the conversation that you had together, repeat what it was that you talked about. And it may not be exactly the way they understood it. So it's important that you get that out there. Then to be able to see what their need is. What is it that they really need? If they haven't told you what their need is, make it a point when you are talking to them to come out and ask them, what is your need? That will mostly blow people away. Excuse me, you want to know my need? Yes. I call myself, as denominationally focused as that is, that I'm your Christmas list. In other words, you you tell me what it is you want. And most of the people that are in the call know that I do that on a constant basis. So I need to do that. I have to know that. I have to know what it is you need so that we can begin to establish, and this is very important, we begin to establish commonalities. Commonalities is the core of any relationship. And unless you know what they need and what they're doing, it's not going to work. And that's when you start to interweave what it is that you can provide. What is their need? So you offer an answer to that need if you have one. Usually it's providing people that are resources that are doing the same thing. Oh, that's interesting. Am I going to have a, well, it worked. So you're going to try to offer them an answer to that need if you have one. The best answer is to give people, as I say, that are going in the same direction. So you think that maybe they're going to compete with other people. Absolutely not. I don't know of more than a couple people that would repeat in their expertise, unless you're both selling jewelry or you're both doing healthcare or whatever that is specific target on a product. Everyone can complement the other in some way in what they're doing. So give them people who you know, who you would like them to be able to have to further where they're going. And then what future action might you be able to do together? So this is just when you meet someone. I'm not going into all the nitty-gritty of what should be happening after that, but I want you to go in with a positive mind about meeting those people and to have a habit of doing that. Come on, move. Thank you. I don't want you to introduce yourselves. That's not quite it yet. Okay, let's end the show and go back to where I want to. Stopped as, yeah, I know. Okay, now we go back so I can go to the right place. Come on, let's go. Okay, so the habits that you adopt. The next thing I want you to think about is to literally prepare yourself now. I mean, this is what we talked here before. We just said once you've met them. But I want you to prepare first before you literally meet them. And I can't, again, stress the database any more strongly than I've already done, because I couldn't tell you how many business people I know. Well, it's somewhere in my phone. Well, let me see. I have a bag full of business cards. No, that's not going to work. Database, dedicated database. Their category is also in there, what kind of business they're in. It may be just a college, or it could be a teacher. It could be, so if you can put categories according to what they are, make up your own little categories in the database. Then each of you has a cause. Now, Luke's cause is a little different. He's real general in where he's going, but the rest of you literally have things that you're working on in your country. So you also know who your target audience is. We talked about our why last time, and those are the people. That's why you're doing it, to be able to assist that population. And you need to know them thoroughly, what they like, what they don't like, where they meet, what they react or respond to. If you know their friends, that's even better. So you need to know that target audience, and I can't stress that enough. Then who is your alliance? Now, many of you have no clue what I'm talking about with an alliance. And what that is pretty obvious. Chat, what are you saying in the chat? Sample headlines to develop this database. I mean, the categories. The categories would be, good, thanks for telling me that. The categories would be, you start them. In other words, if someone's a realtor, that's a category. If someone is a nonprofit, you could just say an NGO, non-government, or for-profit. You could do that general, though I would prefer something like, okay, let's say Augustine's case. He has lots of people he interfaces with. His would be youth groups, might be a category, or it definitely would be a church, or it would be a school. So create those as you go. Don't get so massive on that you have 100 categories, but gradually just try to put them into big blocks, because later you'll be able to sort them by those categories and then address certain amount of people at one time with their emails. So I would also eventually like you to have a page on the sheet just perhaps for schools, or just perhaps for, well, realtors probably aren't in your world, but women's groups would be, that kind of a thing. So that may come later, but I want you to have a general one so that you can touch bases without fumbling in your phone, without going to look at the card that's in the drawer on the left, or something like that. I want them to be accessible so that you can get to them. Now, your alliances, as you all know from my experience with me, I think I've given each one of you at least one. Some of you I've given a lot, and those are people that are targeting that same audience. So your alliance may be like Keziah, for instance, working on the sanitary napkins for women to help them to build businesses on that, and the sanitation of the women in her country. I gave her someone that's already doing that. That's an alliance. They're doing that in other countries in Africa. So, and not that she is, but I'm just saying in other countries in Africa. So that's what I call an alliance, someone that's already going in the same direction. Sierra Leone, obviously, Augustine's gotten some alliances. Marty Ward is who I gave him, and she is doing things in Sierra Leone and in Kenya. So they're doing similar things, and now they can work as a team. Strategic alliances is when they really do it with you in a concerted way so that wherever they go, they're thinking of you too. That's the kind of alliance that you want. And most people don't quite get that concept. They think, I got to go to get a customer. I got to directly. Well, why? Go around the block, so to speak, get someone who's already looking at your customer. And then when they find out how wonderful you are, then you are remarkable and you become word of mouth in their world. Can't get much better than that. Of course, you have to reciprocate. So as Augustine was working with Marty Ward, we're trying to figure out what they can do to help the community in the COVID. What can you do to help her community? Now, Augustine is doing a lot with youth and peace clubs, and of course we all will be. I don't know that Marty is. So that can be shared, that can be done virtually. It doesn't mean the kids have to be all there doing it. So share that would enhance them as well. So it's a two-way street, definitely a two-way street. It's not you just taking, you have to work together. And then, so what are their needs? And you can find their needs, by the way. If they don't know them, if they have any web presence, I hope so, find out if they have a profile on LinkedIn or if they have some other place where their Facebook is for their association. Find out what their needs are. And if they don't make it real clear, then you go ahead and think, well, that's what you said online, because that is going to play into the commonality game. And that commonality is what you're going to put into the emails that you talk to them with. You're going to say, oh, what we have in common. I couldn't tell me how many people I've attracted on LinkedIn because I went to their profile and, oh, by the way, blah, 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 we have this much in common. So I'll say, you know what? With this, and this in common, we have to talk. I'm a little more aggressive than some of you, though you guys are sure assertive. I don't know about Luke, but I have a feeling he is too. And I say, we have this in common. Why would we not? Why would we not? Let's talk. So get to know what their needs are, then imagine what it would look like when you assist them. Now, some of you are already talking to schools. Some of you are already talking to specific groups. I want you to imagine in your brain what it will look like when you have allowed them. Too bad some of like Fatima and are not here, but okay, let's say that the sanitary napkins, you see the manufacturing of it. You see that, you see the women doing it. You see them making an income because of that. You see that the others are now being able to go to school because now that they have that protection. You see all of these things happening in your mind. And I do that daily. I literally do that daily. Part of my in-mind vision is all of you, believe it or not. That vision is specifically Africans, though I could see global, harvesting crops, having the food that they want and being very happy with that, drinking the pure, clear water. These are two things that I see in the cultures of our globe. This is important to envision that, to feel it, to taste it, to be part of it. So now when I've envisioned it in detail, I am asking the universe to bring it to me. With that flag in the universe, trust me, it will. It happens to me on a daily basis. I have the answers to the food. I have the answers to the water. That's my frustration, is to be able to get it in the communities. And I gather those things for you people because I want you to be able to have those resources. You're just not ready for them yet. So imagination is important first. Then what problems might block you from getting there? So you see the goal way out here. Now, what are the roadblocks? Well, maybe it's funding in Augustine's case. Got to have money to be able to do this COVID thing. How the heck am I going to do this? Well, he does a lot, but the point is that's a problem. And then what solutions? Well, he's come up with some solutions. He's done the GoFundMe type of thing online, and he's getting those funds in. So you think about the solutions that you can do to combat these problems. And then you work in reverse. So you've got the end goal down here, and you've got you here. Now, what baby steps? What would be the next thing, the next thing, the next thing? So you reverse down to today. What baby step can I do every day that will get me a little bit closer to that vision that I saw of a hospital, of a school, of kids being able to run freely without thinking about a mask on their face? What does that look like? What solutions can I think of to be part of that? And then you create that reverse plan. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a minute. Did I lose all of you? Are you still awake? I've seen Luke's face as I was doing that. I'm going to ask you to tell me, I think that's the next thing. This must be a good resource for you. Oh, okay. From Keziah. Augustine, there's a resource for the Google spreadsheets. A sheet that contains the grant. Oh, grants. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Keziah. You see what this is all about, Luke? It's playing together as a team. And that's my global collaborator self. That's, if nothing more, I want to teach these guys, because that's what I do, is how to relate together. Because you are young, that number one is the most important part, is that you don't have the past to hold you down. You don't have the burden of the past. And for God's sake, we don't know the future. Only He. And I don't know the schedule, because I'd probably mess it up. So you need to use your youth, innocent, curious, non-judgmental, wanting to collaborate, and now you have their attention, because you have the future in your hand, and you're really important people, very important, because you already know what it is that you're capable of doing, and you already have the talent to do that. So I would like you at this point, introduce yourself and your country, and then share the success that you have had since last time that we met. So go ahead, and Keziah, could you lead us out, please? We didn't see you last time, as I recall. Keziah,
I was there last time,
were you?
last week, yeah.
Okay. Well, remind me again about what happened that was successful since last week, because you're still working on sanitary napkins, right?
Yes.
Okay. And were you able to talk to Jerry?
Jerry. Yes, she called me, she gave me a call yesterday.
Oh, good. Good, good, good.
One success that happened ever since last week was me being able to talk to Jerry, because she gave me a really good resource in which she is willing to have my organization as an umbrella of her big organizations, wherein we will receive she will allocate funding for us, so that we can have, those reusable pads in the Philippines, and also how the processes work, and most especially them working with the government and the locals.
I am so excited for you, Keziah. That was exactly what I prayed for. If
Thank you.
anyone can do that, Jerry can do that. As I say, she's from Kenya, and she's already played this game in a couple of countries. And I was hoping that she would open her heart and soul to you, and it appears as though she has.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling about all of that?
Right now I'm feeling excited. I'm still waiting for COVID to end.
Yeah, that'll make a big difference. Yeah, aren't we all? Yeah, but there's still a lot of preparing that you can do without having to be in front of people. I'm sure that you can, and getting resources. And do you have a good sized group of women that are working with you?
Right now I have a team of 4 who's
Okay,
doing all the logistics with me.
okay.
But I'm also applying for grants with Global Change Makers, and hopefully we'll be able to execute everything in the year 2021.
Yeah. Global change makers. Okay, you guys, do you know that one, Augustine?
Yeah, I've heard about them.
Okay, so you haven't done any research on them. Christian, have you been there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that. And she asked us to make a little presentation, but I couldn't do that. I was a little bit busy at that time.
Okay, okay.
I hope to
See,
do that. Yeah.
yeah. You guys want me to help in any of that? Of course, both of you are very capable of doing that. That's not a problem. It's spreading the wealth. It's taking what you've gotten that you found works for you and then sharing it. There's absolutely no way it's going to be diluted. All it can do is grow on itself as you give it to someone else. And that's kind of what life's all about. So yeah, because I am so excited for you. And right now, then, your biggest thing is to figure out your strategy on how you're going to do all that and how you're going to get all of that done in your life when you've got yourself inside. And now's a good time to plan to do that. So, Augustine, you had shared what your success kind of was as far as getting some funding, but you didn't really share it with this group. So, would you like to talk to us about what's been successful since last week?
Yeah, the COVID project we developed to like help children as well as women in communities, but most especially now that the COVID cases is a bit reducing
Good.
uh, worldwide, but but here also is a case again. It is a rise and fall. Still, the rules and regulations like restriction and other stuff still remain intact. So now there's an issue with the children, like we have been helping, like there is a radio learning program. It is being done in partnership with UNICEF and the government, where they invite teachers to the radio station to offer radio learning programs for these children. But it is rather unfortunate that most of these children we have been helping in the rural areas, they don't have what it takes to afford a radio. So like we have been planning also to use part of this fund to see how best we can able to buy like solar radio currently for the 15 children we are helping. So like they can able to partake in this learning program, since our key priority to them is like how we can able to boost them to be more educated, we more concentrate on the education aspect. So in issues like this, we see it to be more important to us, more especially we don't want them to be idling around during this COVID-19. But like the
Preparing.
And
for
we,
us to be part of the global giving, we have process. It was really a success for us, but really we are yet to reach our goal because we are asked to raise like $5,000 for us to have a permanent spot on the global giving, and we have only been able to manage to raise like $200, $205. I will share with you guys the link so you can see our stories. But really, we are hoping for the better, and if we can meet it, definitely, unless we have to try and able to mobilize funds locally,
yeah, and you've
so at
already
least we
doing
can
other
able to
things.
reach out to these children.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
but we know
let's,
this amount can really able to buy radio for the 15 children currently. But if we have additional fund, definitely we can just spread it right across, so like we can have more vulnerable children to benefit from this,
yeah.
if we can.
Okay, so 15, your help. Let's say, no big deal. Just save the lives of 15 children. No big deal.
Yeah,
Thank you,
that's cool.
Augustine. That's
Yeah.
beautiful to be able to do that. Christian, what's been a success since last week?
As you may know, working on getting married.
Yeah.
Despite the COVID-19, so things have been working out well for me.
Good.
And next Saturday I'm going to pay the bride price, which is customary for us here. And I'm just seeing success. I was a little fearful, but now I can affirm that things are working for me.
Good. That's been such a challenge.
Next Saturday, you guys are going to see my pictures on our traditional wedding.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful. You've been working so hard. What have we been working over a
Yeah,
year on this? And so right now it's to be able to, and he can tell you, he'll tell you on his website, specifically the traditions of his culture. I won't go into all of them, but the dowry has to be prepared and all of that type of thing. And it has to be done beforehand and all the ins and outs. So that's been his preoccupation, I'm sure, although he is taking other courses. So anything else in the educational way? You've got another, certification's almost done?
Not yet. We're still having 5 weeks to get done with this semester. So, but it will be until I finish the next semester in order to get a certificate.
Okay.
But I'm getting so confident in social marketing, and I've even started the affiliate marketing, trying to sell other people's products and those of all and stuff. So
good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're learning all about that. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Luke, let us know what's happening, although you have told us a little bit and your successes last week. Take your choice as to what you want to say. Okay. So what would you say presently would be something you've been successful at?
So again, I said I was moving forward with education. I guess if your question was more along the lines of what do I want to do more in the future, it is personally education. I tend to love little children. I think they're most vulnerable at that time. I think that, that's, there are times, it depends on the way that you look at them is how they get shaped, right? If you say that the kid is on a bad path and you believe that, they continue to be along a bad path only because you said that. And many times you can take someone and redirect them in a completely different way, so long as you have an input in that. So I've just been trying to go to as many of these sessions as I can. And what you're saying is building a network, trying to find people, because that was my hardest challenge before, is that especially in this time when we're locked by ourselves, that there's not many places you can go to go connect with people. So this past week I've just been joining more and more of these things, networking and finding people that will help get me towards that goal.
I could do an entire session on LinkedIn. There are more than millions that are right here, accessible, just as you're sitting.
Sure.
It's knowing how to do that. I just did that last week. I had a client, I do one-on-ones like this. This is part of my business. And she had a picture of her like this, the background on LinkedIn, nothing. And she said she sells Miss Lolly's suds and stuff. So I thought, oh, you're a groomer. What are you? I have no clue. By the time we got through with the conversation, I had totally redone her profile, and behind her was a picture of all of her products and a blue sky with clouds. I mean, it's how you present yourself. And I said, well, let's see if we use dermatologists, because it's soaps and lotions, dermatologists, you only have 256,000 people you can connect with on LinkedIn. You think that's a good enough start? So don't get me started on LinkedIn, because there's abundance. And I know of also other groups. I am part of networking groups that meet nearly every day. So if you want to be part of that world, let me know. I have a group that I am on the board of, and they meet Mondays at noon. So that would be in DC, that would be 3 o'clock. So things like that. Not to say not to have a presence. Definitely be seen. That's important. Though you can go find people to be seen with, and how you approach them is exactly what I did when I told you just now. Find out their needs, go look at their profile, find out the commonalities, bring it up over so they've got to talk to you because you have so much in common. So the fact that you've got it in a profile, you don't even need to start the conversation because you can see where they're going. It's perfect. So LinkedIn is my little oasis of nugget of gold. And that's a whole other story. But yeah, good. So education, you want to work with little kids. Anything else that you're
Yeah, I was
doing
going to
other
say, if
than?
I may add to that, it really wasn't until I would say this past year that I've trying to have like a major change in my life course. Before that, I didn't really have any sense of direction. I mean, to be honest, and then I was kind of just afloat, uh, taking whatever was in front of me rather than directing myself into it.
Mhm.
So after being over there and seeing things in areas of necessity, I've kind of changed course, and this new year's kind of, I guess, where I'm going to redefine that and do things for myself. Um, One of the books I just read, I'm sure you've heard of it, is like how to win friends and influence people.
People. Mhm.
Yeah, and it kind of goes along the lines of exactly what you're saying is,
Mhm.
genuinely give them compliments on what you think it is that is
Mhm.
uh, a good attribute of them. Don't be impersonal or flattery. Don't try to give them something that you're just, trying to coerce them into doing something for you. But be
Mhm.
very considerate of the things that you have in relationships, and compliment them on attributes that you see that are actually genuine to them.
Yeah, there. Let me tell you something else. And now that I realize that you're here, and not where we were a moment ago, is that IYP and anyone else exactly can be part of a group called Planned Acts of Kindness. And Planned Acts of Kindness, these people are part of, and they have an internship program that it's usually about 6 months, and you take on whatever it is that your focus is, and they help you along the way. You create a portfolio, you possibly could even get a career or job through that. I will give you the information so that in case you want to do an internship, it's totally focused on planned acts of kindness, and what you can do in the Karma Club and their One Planet, One People Club, that kind of a thing. And it's very structured. These people are just beginning to try to sort out exactly what they need to do to be part of it. Um, so I'd like to invite you to look into that if you would. So it's plannedacts.org.
Thank you.
So let's see, we've got a few more minutes left. Um, I would like you to answer for me. I would like you to answer for me. That's not it, but it'll do. Let's see, reverse plan. No, that's not really what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. I guess I didn't put it up there. I would like you to share with me when you have talked to people, what are some of the challenges, or what have you found works when you've talked to people about what it is that you're doing? Augustine, you would be the most logical on this because you are interfacing with groups all the time. What have you found works or doesn't work?
Yeah, I think what I found that normally works is like when you start interacting with them, when you say something that is in line with what really they are doing, at times they feel so excited like for them to hear about you, because sometimes even their questions and concerns normally comes through the challenges or the constraints they have been facing. So you see how you both can interface and see how you can dialogue and maybe give solution or recommendations to some of the challenges or constraints you both have been facing.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's challenging, like when you're explaining something that somebody is not on that field. Maybe unless the person likes you, maybe he will just be thinking like linking you up to other people
Mm-hmm.
who think they can be on health, just like what you normally do. Like if somebody explains something, whether the somebody is a veterinary dealing with animals, maybe you just take his or her details and see how best. Maybe if you come in contact with somebody who normally does similar things, then you can see how best you can able to get them in contact.
Yeah, absolutely. It's most important that, oh, there's Luke's. I was going to do that. I think I already did that. Let me just check. It's most important to listen. And in Augustine's case, it doesn't take much. All I do is to just make one comment and he gets all excited about everything. He just wants to get everything. I mean, this is so exciting because this, that, and the other. Listening. Listening is really important. And I finally get him, and he does. He listens really well once I tell him, just listen for a minute. So just listen. And so when you'd be surprised what you learn when you listen. So the point is that
Hmm.
that's when you find out their needs exactly. So then you think, let's see, they're working toward this and this and this. Who do I know? Who? And eventually you have to keep that humility, that humbleness. Eventually they will say, well, tell me about what you're doing. Now, if you're really smart, you will have applied what it is that you learned from their need or their cause to what you're doing and see how it might be able to work together so that you're getting the same big success. Now, it takes intelligence and it takes you to really stretch instead of blurting out exactly what you're doing. Instead, look at their needs, see if youth is part of it, or education, or in your case, survival, and see if, oh, what would be able to enhance that? Well, I'm doing this over here. Maybe you'd like to offer that over here. Or what you're doing over here, I would love to know about it to offer it over here. So it's listening and then applying what you can so that you're making it work together. And that takes talent and it takes maturity and it takes self-control to not say, this is what I'm doing. So you need to pay attention to where they're going because, oh, don't want to mess up too fast here, Kelly. You don't want to overpower them. They'll go, forget it. I don't want to play that game. All he did was blurt what he did. So they come first. Very good, Augustine. Keziah, have you figured any yes or no challenges when you talk to people?
Yes, I have had some quite a lot of challenges, most especially when it comes to people with higher positions,
Mm-hmm.
because mostly you only get about 1 minute the maximum to introduce yourself and and tell them that this is me, I'm passionate about this and this is my project. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like, they don't really retain it because, there's a lot of people they meet in that day too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard to, send them a letter saying, oh, I've met you, your talk moved me so much. Having that letter or like reaching out to them,
Mm-hmm.
or that concept note is really, for me, it's kind of hard to do, or finding that point, or like the entry point where you can have them or get their attention.
That's right. And you really do only have a split second to be able to get that. So it may be as logical, and I'll give you an example real quick. Like, by the way, welcome, Kelly. Glad you could join us.
Thank you
I
very much.
went
I'm still
to
having
a
a problem with that connection.
okay. I figured probably. I went to a summit, and there was an excellent speaker, and his role was to do events for movie stars toward a specific cause that they had, and that's what he carried on, and so on and so forth, and that he did it globally. Or at least he alluded that he did, because that was the name of his country. I mean, his company. And I went up to him, and yes, you only have split second because you're one of the peons. And I was one of the peons in the office, which means humble person sitting there listening. And so I said, how would you like to do that globally in every country of the world? You know, he paid attention because I had something that he needed. He really wasn't in all the countries. And just because of you guys, I'm able to say, how would you like to be in all the countries of the world? Because we'll get there eventually. We only have about 13 that are playing, maybe 16 if we stretch it. But that's, you know, got 180 more to go. That's okay. We'll get there. The point is, you have lots of chips in your bag. You have lots of benefits if you'll stop and think. It's what you present that he's not used to. He's not going to listen to, well, I have this, that, I want you to do this. And he'll want, please, buy, fund. They're not going to play the game. You have to go to results. So, Keziah, when you're talking to someone, it may be if they want to know, I'm creating a lifestyle and a solution to the problems that women are having globally with their health. Now, does that make more sense?
Yes.
That's exactly what you're doing. So what's he understand? It's all women. It's globally. And you're doing it. It may be worthwhile to listen to you. That's exactly what I would think of that. She already knows where she's going. And my gosh, she's getting women employed to be able to, I got to talk to this young person. So you see how that was just one sentence, and I probably won't be able to do it again. So I hope you get the recording. But the point was what your results is going to be. That's why I said, look, see that picture. What is it? Are we going to create a hospital? Are we going to create this whole industry? Are we going to create a place where the students will have a peace club? Are we going to be able to do videos online for the kids? Okay? That's what I have. Do you have it now? No. You just on step 1 or 2. Does that matter? No. Because you know you're going to get there. And that's what you are creating. You didn't say created. You said creating. And that's what you're doing. You're working toward that goal, and you're going to make it happen. Kelly, do you have any comments about when you've spoken to people and what have worked? Thank you, Keziah. And what has worked or has not worked?
Well, basically, Rob, as I told you already, I'm still having this problem of not being open when I'm in a group of people. It's like I can write properly, I can speak individually with one-to-one, and once you get to being in a group, I'm finding it a bit difficult to actually communicate properly. And this is my real problem. I've been explaining to you, ma'am, already, and you indicated that you were going to help me on being a more a good communicator, being more easy at communication in public, actually.
Yeah. Dr. Paula said she'd be glad to help you with that as well, as you recall, if you got that email.
Yeah, actually did, actually, yeah.
Be sure to take her up on that, please. Oh, Omar,
Yeah.
don't want to rush you. We're finished. Yeah.
Still
So
reading a book.
good. And Kelly, when you're talking to a group, again, you're thinking of the results. Now, you know what it looks like that you're working on. You know what you want it to be like. You know what you see the future to be. Again, allude to I'm creating and then tell them the future. And that's what they want to become part of. Instead of, well, I'm working to be, well, what we're doing, no. I don't want to know that. I want to know what it's going to look like so that I can sign up to be making sure that it happens. So Kelly, in your case, you're doing the website. I would drive right away to the results. Getting together, I am creating a vehicle to get people together and then explain the cause. Just one sentence. I am creating. Or I created. You could probably, because you've already done so much work on it. And so your web presence is important. And globally, we're not just talking Ivory, you're talking globally. Okay?
Well noted.
Okay, we are running out of time. Omar just entered the party and we kind of start an hour before now. Omar, we'd love to have you as part of us next time. We can't really do much now because we're finished. So thank you.
Thank you, Jackie.
You're
I'm
welcome. And this time next week, how many of you are going to be able to make the Wednesday call that Lyle mentioned?
I think I can do that.
Christian. Okay. Christian, anybody else? Augustine, can you make that?
I will as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Kelly, okay. Augustine can. Keziah, can you make that?
Unfortunately not.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will be there.
Okay. Okay. Omar, did you, well, you're not, are you in the internship or not, Omar?
Yes, I have filled the sheet,
Okay.
and
Oh, yeah, you
yes,
did.
I've
Yeah,
done that.
that's right. Yeah,
And
okay.
also, sorry for coming late. If you will just give me a little bit of conclusion, maybe, because I just got a little late. And you know, these days I have recovered from coronavirus, so things are really bad.
Okay.
So please just give me a reflection of what happened today, just maybe for 30 seconds or a minute.
Well,
And
yeah, reminder. Yeah. Okay. We basically talked about how to interface with people and what to do to develop yourself before you get there. So this is
wow,
recorded. And so
that
you'll be able to see the recording because I went into quite a bit of detail on how to do that. And bless you for recovering and moving on and now inspiring the people around you. And I do appreciate you. So we are
thank
planning
you.
also on Wednesday at 8 o'clock, the same, what I would say, bat station if I were with Americans, the same station that we're in now on the same link. This is the link we're going to use from now on. So if you've got it once, you've got it forever.
Thank you.
So if you can on that Wednesday. So
Yes, I will be present on Wednesday, and maybe I
good.
will go through the recording, today's
Yeah.
recording. And
Yeah, it takes a little bit for them to process it, but I would love to have you on that. And thank you,
all right.
Luke, for being part of our group, and maybe we can do that formally. I did get your information that was correct, right? That was the one that I just copied, and so that has, there's Federo, there's Luke at Gmail. Okay, Luke Cressley. Kressley. Oh, it's a dot before that.
Yeah, there's a period in there.
And then
makes sense.
Gmail. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to be able to get you in the fold, so to speak, and have you working with us. That would be great. We don't really have anybody from the United States.
Sounds good.
Thank you all. Have a great week and stay positive. And the last comment that I would like to make before we leave is, this is a good one. To succeed in life, you need two things: ignorance and confidence. And I know you guys have both, as well as I. Make it a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much,
Beautiful.
man. Thank you,
You're
everybody. As well.
welcome. You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Jackie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Okay, take care.